Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Don Gulling at Verteks Consulting. Wanted to, first of all, thank you for joining us. Second of all, let you know we want to try to make this as interactive as we possibly can. I do have the audio controls on temporarily because we had somebody with some background music playing earlier, so I wanted to prevent anybody from being frustrated by that. So in the GoToMeeting session, you'll see there's a question and answer section. Feel free to be interactive and ask whatever questions you want in there. We'll answer them as we go along. In addition to that, we will open up the phones for Q&A while we're doing demo time as well. So love to have your feedback as we move through the presentation. Just a quick introduction of the team on the call today. I'll be on the call doing the presentation. We also have joining us John Childers, one of our government IT specialists, Steve Hall, who's a long-term Verteks veteran, 15 years of service, who's a WatchGuard certified security engineer and an Alien Vault certified security engineer. And we also have on the call Mike Dufilli, who is also a long-term veteran Verteks employee and a WatchGuard certified security engineer and an Alien Vault certified security engineer. I basically bring them on to bail me out if you ask complicated questions. So that's the reason they're here. And thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate you. For those of you on the webinar who have not yet registered for our customer appreciation event, I want to let you know you are invited. Tickets are almost sold out. We have a very large theater booked in Ocala for the premiere of Star Wars: The Last Jedi. A nice private theater experience in Ocala. It's on December 15th at 7 p.m. That's the movie start time. Typical arrival time around 6 or so to get refreshments. We have some prizes and things. And if you want to register for that, it's a private URL, lastjediocala.eventbrite.com. If you can't get registered for some reason, you can contact me personally, and I'll be glad to register you as well. I wanted to start this by talking about some news. I have a news feed set up for anything related to government IT or cybersecurity through Google News Alerts, and I get these events, and I save them. These are actual headlines throughout the last 6 to 8 months about government IT. Hack that plants ISIS message hits state government website. ISIS link group claims hack of Leon County, Florida website. Sarasota, Florida, ransomware attack, ISIS and the FBI. Alabama County ransom. Montgomery County cyber attack. New York City Hall computers hack with ransomware. 8 years worth of PD data wiped out in ransomware attack. DC Police Department hit with ransomware. Inglewood, Colorado. Tennessee City. Hackers hit DC Police closed circuit camera network in an IoT attack. Spring Hill, Tennessee hit by ransomware. St. Louis Libraries attacked. This is probably one of my least favorite, and you'll know why. City erases reinstalls server after ransomware attack. I think all of us want to avoid these headlines. The question is, how do we do that? How do we get better at cybersecurity? What kind of steps can we take? So let's talk about that today. Brief commercial interlude. As a reminder, some of the other things that we do. We are a full service, full spectrum IT solution provider, not just products, not just services, but both. And we sell and support solutions for many of you. Some of you don't, but a full range of service data center infrastructure, as well as security backup and disaster recovery, and of course, unified communications, which I know some of you know us for as well. Today's agenda, just like I had put in the presentation invitation, don't want to make it a sales pitch. We want to talk about how to improve from advanced persistent threats, how to improve protection of our Wi-Fi networks without replacing our Wi-Fi, because who can afford that, how to improve security reporting for compliance and accountability, and how to do all this without adding more people at an affordable price. And then finally, some defensive learnings, aka demo. So we're going to cover all those things today. First thing I'd like to do, if you don't mind, I'd like to get a quick answer from you on a poll. It should pop up on your screen here. What percentage of malware do you think is zero-day malware? By that I mean there's no pattern previously identified when it was first detected. And that could be 7%, 27%, 47%, 77%, or 97%. Go ahead and submit your answers there so we can see what your votes are. And then I'm going to close that poll here in just 1 second. Anybody have any questions on that? No? Okay. Here's the poll. Polls are open. I get some votes in here. A lot of people voting on 7% and 27%. There's also a lot of people voting on 77%. All right, let's give it one more second here. Last couple of people answering. Looks like the number one answer so far is 77%. All right, we'll go ahead and close the polls for now and move on. The number one voted answer was 77%. I know I'm talking to security professionals because I like your pessimism. I think that you thought that was a rigged question. The answer is, according to survey data from WatchGuard and others, 47% in 2017 so far, malware has been 0-day. So about half of malware 0-day, about 53% known malware. I guess the good news is it's not as bad as we all thought in terms of being 77%. The bad news is still about half the malware out there is unidentified. So what are we seeing? This is data that's been collected from our extensive network of agents on the internet. And this is the malware top 10 so far in 2017. I'm not going to dig into this too far, but I do want to show you number one and number two. If you look at them, number one is almost double number two, and it's a Mimikatz threat. And I want to talk a little bit about that because I think we all need to be aware of what's going on here. But the number two is a Linux Flutter, which is a DDoS tool. The idea there is to attack internal websites to make it easier to steal credentials. If you look at this in depth, what you'll see, these are the in-depth attacks and what they're doing in terms of popularity over the last 11 months. All of these top attacks, if you look in the threat category column, they're all web attacks, either attacking the web client or the web server. And what's scary about that, in this threat category is, it used to be they were going after desktop PCs, even Windows servers. The reason this is a concern for me and for you is we all have to have our firewalls open to the internet for, at a minimum, browsing. Maybe you're doing some cloud applications. Of course, we're all doing email and so on. Hackers are now attacking internal web servers and web clients more seriously than they're attacking anything else. And why they're doing it, they're trying to mostly steal credentials or do a brute force login to get into the network, to plant ransomware or to steal data. Some trending threats. This probably doesn't come as a surprise to you, but the three top trending threats, number one, login password via web-based attacks on authentication. So we're seeing that attacking Linux systems as well as Windows. In the middle here, a basic Windows credential attack. Again, this Mimikatz tool that's out there is trying to steal Windows credentials, and then based on the theft of those Windows credentials, log in later, plant ransomware or steal data. And then finally, JavaScript via email. This one never seems to get old or die. Even with Office 365 and spam filtering, these things are still getting through. And what happens is, JavaScript comes in an email, launches, invokes, and then is either a phishing attack or is an attack to try to plant something on the PC to get in later and either plant ransomware or so on. So we've got to keep that in mind, that those attacks are trending via web clients and PCs. So how do we get better at preventing those attacks? Some of you have probably seen this cyber kill chain presentation before at a security event that we've done, but I want to just highlight this one more time. And what this is, for people who aren't aware, this is the result of some extensive research and studies done by the government, through the Department of Defense, and through Lockheed Martin as the prime contractor, to look at the wide spectrum of cyber attacks and to determine, for every one of those attacks, what are the commonalities? What are the stages? How does it progress? Kind of like if you think about a recipe. Maybe you're going to bake some holiday treats, as an example. I pull up Betty Crocker Cookbook and I look for my favorite cookie recipe, and usually the first step is preheat the oven because they know that takes a while. So it says preheat oven to 350 degrees. You can expect in a recipe it to follow certain steps. That's exactly what a cyber kill chain is. This is the formula that all the cyber attacks follow. Number one, reconnaissance, then delivery, then the compromise exploit, followed by the infection installation, then command and control, finally, lateral movement and pivoting, and lastly, objectives and or exfiltration. How do you protect against that? The only way to really protect against this cyber kill chain is through a strategy called defense in depth and a layered approach. I'm going to cover that briefly. This is not a sales pitch, but I know a lot of you on the call are WatchGuard clients, so this is a good news situation if you do have a WatchGuard and you're using Total Security, which is a WatchGuard package that includes all these features. What we've done here is shown how the WatchGuard technology maps to each one of these layers of the cyber kill chain, all the way from reconnaissance at the top to the objectives and exfiltration at the bottom. What you see on the right side are the different tools in the WatchGuard system that protects you at each one of these levels. But the reason I bring this up, let's look at delivery as an example. Step number 2 of the cyber kill chain is delivery. In the delivery process, some of the things that can be done to protect you are the use of the WatchGuard web blocker, the use of application control, the use of IPS, the use of APT, the use of gateway antivirus, and the use of reputation-enabled defense. So we've got 7 different tools in our toolbox to protect you at that delivery level. The reason I want to mention this is we've gone in and done security assessments of clients after their implementation of the security solution. Sometimes, or most of the time, they implemented it by themselves. Occasionally, they'd hire somebody to do it, sometimes not us. And what we're finding is that customers aren't even availing themselves of all the protection mechanisms they have at this level. For example, they're saying, well, I'm not really doing anything about application control because I don't want to manage or monitor what applications users are using on the internet. Or I don't have gateway antivirus turned on because I've got a spam filter in the cloud and I've also got desktop antivirus. I don't want to slow things down with a third layer. Or I'm not using reputation-enabled defense because we go to a lot of new websites or whatever. My suggestion to you is this. Let's all embrace the idea that with better security, there may be a little inconvenience. However, I don't think that any of the tools that WatchGuard has, and we use them all here, are causing any inconvenience at these levels. So I'd highly recommend to always use all the tools at your disposal unless there is some major overriding business principle preventing you from doing so. Let's take a step to the next one, compromise or exploit. At this level of the cyber kill chain, you're going to see some of the same old actors, IPS, APT Blocker, gateway antivirus, and you see this other one, threat detection and response. We're going to talk about this in depth and show it on a demo, but this is a new technology. Again, I saw some data from WatchGuard that showed the number of customers that had purchased TDR, the threat detection and response solution, versus the number that had deployed it because they can check that. And what they're finding is it's a very, very low rate of adoption, and people just aren't using the threat detection and response to the level that they can or should. You're entitled to it, you own it, you should be using it. It's a very low percentage. It's less than 30%. Same with infection installation. Again, the TDR agent can help at that level. And then finally, this lateral movement or pivoting is a very challenging area of the kill chain. All of the tools we have here that can help you, from TDR to our DLP, which is a data leak prevention solution, and so on. So let's remember that for defense in depth, we have to use all the tools that are available to us. So restating what those are, most of you know, but the fundamental services that come with a basic security subscription, right? WatchGuard Basic Security includes the IPS, reputation-enabled defense, spam blocker, application control, web blocker, and gateway antivirus. Those are in that bundle. Advanced security services, again, just a single part, get you all these other things. Advanced persistent threat blocker, threat detection and response, host-based ransomware prevention, which will literally stop a ransomware encryption attack dead in its tracks, Dimensions Command, network discovery, and of course our data loss prevention tools. So here's our recommendations. We've got several recommendations for you, and I'm going to record this presentation, share it with you later. You'll be able to look at this or contact our team to help you implement these things if you aren't able to do them yourself. Number 1, use the APT blocker and enable the alarm and log options. You can either tie that alarm and log into your reporting and run it through regular reporting tools, or potentially you could tie it into an internal ticketing system. Lastly, I'll talk about this at the end, but you could also decide to send those alerts to us. If you want some extra help, we can drop it into our ticketing system. Enable deep packet inspection. I'm finding when we do security assessments, we're probably 50-50 on deep packet inspection. So that's a big miss in a lot of networks. Activate the spam blocker on SMTP and POP3. This is probably less than 50-50, and the reason we're seeing it so infrequently deployed unless we install the WatchGuard. When we install, we put all the stuff in. So if we've installed it for you and you haven't changed anything, you have all these things turned on. If you did it yourself or someone else did it, it might be missed. Application control on all outgoing policies. This is critical for the command and control function to stop that in the cyber kill chain. Not just the inbound threats we're looking at as well. We got to look at the outbound. You can disrupt that lateral movement and pivoting by using application control on outbound policies. Application blocking. This is a good one for lots of reasons. I'm going to show you how to do one here in a minute. But Facebook games, I mean, who really needs to have Facebook games in the business? Is that a critical function anywhere? I don't think so. So unless your corporate policy says our employees have unfettered access to the internet, including playing Facebook games, I would block them. And other things you don't need, like, of course, any sort of eMule, Donkey, file sharing, all those applications I would block. Web blocker. I would enable web blocker and also enable extended protection and security. I'm gonna tell you a quick one on story on this one. We have, of course, WatchGuard tools internally. All this is enabled for me. We have web blocker set up to block, all the obvious things, hate speech, bomb making, ISIS, pornography, gambling, all that's blocked. But another thing it's blocking is websites based on reputation. And this has been a source of some inconvenience to me personally, but I've worked with it and I live with it. And what happens is a new domain gets registered that's a brand new domain, and sometimes those new domains either get infected or their reputation is so low because they're so brand new, the WatchGuard doesn't want to let me get to them. So we've set up a bypass, and you can do that in yours with a password, but you continue to block those things, and then if you need to allow someone to get in, let them get in. Gateway antivirus. Enable gateway antivirus and use the ideal settings. Do not walk away from the fact that you have this tool at your disposal because you're concerned that hey, I've got already antivirus at the edge on my PCs or terminal server. I've got a filter in the cloud. Why do I need this middle level? Because our antivirus technology is integrated with all our other tools, and it's a different set of patterns. So now you're maybe triple checking, and that's a good thing. Enable IPS on all outbound policies. Again, when we implement these, we do this, but we're noticing a lot of people have only turned IPS on inbound, and that's good. That's half the battle. You've got to enable IPS on the outbound because, again, we're trying to disrupt or stop the cyber kill chain at the lateral movement pivoting layer. That's how we do that, by using both the IPS and application control on outbound policies. For reporting and compliance, use Dimensions, dashboard logs, and reports. And I'm going to show you how to do those a little more easily. Also, reputation-enabled defense. It's an in-the-box capability. Again, it looks at that website reputation and knows, hey, this website's got infected ads. This website has, bogus software on it, and so on, and it can stop it, users from accessing it. If you need a bypass, you can create one for people with a password. And then finally, enable threat detection and response and install it on client PCs. This is my biggest recommendation if you have total security, because it's free in the box with total security, and it's a massive improvement over what we had in the past. So let's talk about threat detection and response, and I want to launch a second poll here, and this one is about the percentage of new malware that's using evasion technology. So what I'd like you to do is to think about this. New malware's out there, it's sophisticated, and it uses new techniques to evade conventional detection. We call it advanced evasion. There are research and data that tells us what that percentage is. I'd like your votes. What percentage do you think of malware that's out there today is using these advanced evasion technologies, from 40 to 90%? I see a lot of votes coming in. We're getting those responses. The two most popular answers right now are 33% and 50%. Those are the two most popular answers. 70% is climbing, and I'm going to go ahead and we got about 2/3 of you have voted. Wait for one last second, and then we'll close this poll. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. 50% of you said 70%, and that's the right answer, 70%. So malware we classify 3 ways: known malware, unknown malware, and evasive malware. Evasive malware uses encrypted communication channels, kernel level rootkits, zero-day exploits, and so on to slip past conventional detection defense. And this year, so far in 2017, 70% of malware out there is now including those sophisticated evasion technologies. I also want to back up here to the known malware, and you guys know this, gals know this. 99.9% researchers say of exploited vulnerabilities in known malware were compromised more than a year after their discovery. Unpatched systems over a year unpatched, and then the exploits have happened. So obviously all of us are on top of patching, but that's still a huge problem in the industry. So let's talk about classifying malware. There's these 4 layers of malware, from known at the top down to evasive at the bottom. And what you're seeing is as it gets darker red, the risk level climbs. The first level is kind of a reputation analysis defense. Next level of static analysis is a good defense. Then you get to unknown malware, the 0-day, 47% of it, right? You have to do dynamic analysis. You cannot match it against a pattern. You cannot match it against a signature list or a URL because it's unknown. That's the unknown malware is 47%. The deep analysis requires detonation of suspicious things in a sandbox environment. And most of us aren't using that. So we're going to talk about that briefly. So typical malware protection that's out there today, a lot of us have this already. It's deployed. Maybe it's endpoint antivirus. Maybe, of course, you got a network firewall, we hope, a WatchGuard potentially. Typically, antivirus is kind of off-the-shelf, pattern-based, signature-based, and so on. Maybe it has heuristics, etc., but it rarely has behavioral analysis. It's very uncommon unless you have something like it's called next-gen. If you have next-gen AV, you might have behavioral analysis. Also on the firewall side, a lot of times people don't have features deployed maybe, or it doesn't check the SSL encrypted browsing, or it's not doing everything it can because it's not configured properly because it was difficult to manage. Here's what we need though. We really need advanced malware protection. The dynamic analysis for unknown malware includes looking at processes, looking at the file system, looking at the registry, API, network activity, all on the host side, okay? That's all on the host side. At your PC level, we got to look at that stuff. In addition to that, for deep analysis, we take things that are suspicious, we send them up to a cloud data center, we put them in a sandbox, and we detonate them. And then we determine, is this good, bad, or ugly? The reason we do that is because some of these malwares now are time bombs. They'll basically be inactive for however many cycles before they finally kick in. So we want to use that sandbox technology, and we're looking at all those things in our sandbox in the cloud. That's the best way, these 2 layers, to stop that 47% of unknowns is by dynamic and deep analysis. So how do we do that? What protection is needed? We really need a minimum of 2 things. 1, we need threat correlation, and 2, we need threat scoring. Okay, what is it and why? Threat correlation correlates events from multiple sources and cross-reference the data with intelligence. What we're doing is we're looking at network endpoint data, we're looking at indicators on the hosts, and we're comparing that to event feeds and information we know. And I'm going to give you an example in a minute. Then we have to score it. Why is scoring important? I had a survey I was going to use, a poll I was going to use, but I'm not going to use it. But the poll was, what percentage of us believe that information we're getting from our cybersecurity solutions is useless? How many of us feel like we're getting garbage data? It was 90% the last time I did one. 90% of people thought logs were irrelevant. Why? Because they're very, very big and there's a lot of data in them. What scoring allows you to do is to guide your response and prioritize threats. If it's a level 3 threat or level 2 threat or level 1 threat, which is a low on a scale of 1 to 10, why drive yourself crazy looking at that? But you see a level 8, 9, or 10, it's time to get on it, right? That's what we need. We need correlation and scoring. And if you have a WatchGuard today and you have total security, You're entitled to ThreatSync and TDR. If you're using it, great. If you're not, you need to. Here's why. ThreatSync is a cloud-hosted correlation scoring engine that detects and kills malware that antivirus cannot catch. It combines a host sensor that's on the PC that monitors and detects threat activity, that continuously sends that sensor data correlated with events from the firewall to our cloud, and there's an automated response system that you can control, right? This is all in your control, that could kill processes, quarantine files, and delete registry values, and do it for you. So, and this happens both inside and outside the network. The nice thing I like about this is once you have that host agent on a notebook PC, if a person's entitled to take their notebook home and they get it on their home Wi-Fi and they're on the internet at home, TDR is still working. It doesn't have to be in your network. So if you have people that are road warriors or travel and they take their notebook with them, you'll be able to still protect them when they're outside of the office by using ThreatSync. So here's a graphic briefly. At the top, you'll see the WatchGuard TDR ThreatSync cloud. And then on the left, you see threat feeds. These are external feeds that WatchGuard subscribes to. They pay for them from cybersecurity experts and researchers on the latest threats on the internet. Those are all coming in. We also have cloud threat intelligence coming in from various sources, from your network, from ours, from all over the place. Into that cloud, we take our host sensor data, which is from PCs and servers. We send it up there. And we also take all the data from the firebox, from APT, web blocker, packet filtering, reputations, IPS, you name it. We pipe that up into the cloud. The cloud agent, or the cloud heuristics in ThreatSync, that's what does the correlation, the sandbox detonation, et cetera. So you don't need to have servers in your network set aside for these and have resources dedicated to them and manage it. We're doing it for you. ThreatSync is a scored system. Remember earlier I talked about the need for scoring. It starts all the way down at a 1 and goes all the way to a 10. 10's kind of the worst. There are lots of data you can read later about what makes it a level 5 versus a level 10, but essentially 8, 9s, and 10s you need to act on immediately. 6s and 7s, this could be a problem. 5 or below, it could be a 0-day or unknown variant. 1 through 4 typically are generic alerts. So let me give you an example of how this works. Let's say at the network level, right? There's a network indicator. A server said there's some new admin credentials created. We're currently at a level 3. We also see at the endpoint, there's a VPN established from an unknown location. That itself is a level 4. The two of those combined makes this a level 6 incident. Then a network indicator says, oh, wait a minute, we just saw a large FTP transfer on the network. Now, I know that none of us here, it's impossible to look at your FTP logs and live monitor large outbound FTP or inbound FTP transfers, right? Nobody's doing that, but we're doing that with a WatchGuard, right? That by itself would be a level 5, but we also see at the same time a server dump of the user database, maybe by itself a level 5, but you combine those things, now we've got a 9, and then we see a network indicator, installed RAM scraping software, and another large FTP transfer. That raises this to a level 10. We know it's an active attack. That's what we're talking about here, is the network and endpoint indicators are correlated, and as it moves forward, the attack gets more severe, more pronounced, it raises it to a level 10 attack. So in the middle, the correlation engine, threat intelligence, and scoring. At the bottom, your WatchGuard feeding it into the cloud. At the top, your host sensor feeding into the cloud. Here's how it works. It detects a threat, it kills it, and remediates it. It can do all this either automated or it can log an alert. And I'm going to show you how, with our CyberCon defense level, you can govern how automated the responses are. And we can do things from killing processes, quarantining files, delete registry entries, and you can script things to do as well. Last slide on this, and I move on to something else. The correlation is also important because it allows for a faster response. If you are uncorrelated and you're looking at these things as stovepipes yourself internally, you're not able to really respond rapidly because, again, it's too much data, it's too voluminous, there's too many wild goose chases. You got to keep your WatchGuard host sensors all feeding to the cloud. This one here, the WIPS sensor feed, has an asterisk. That's actually coming in Q1 of next year. We're expecting a February release date. This is exciting because now we're able to take the wireless environment, add a wireless sensor to that environment, feed it into the cloud as well to see if you're getting a live wireless attack. All right, that's a next step into what wireless protection's out there. Why do we need to get wireless protection? What can it do for us? Wireless threats are growing every day. We're seeing this become more prevalent because when hackers have found a juicy target, and that juicy target is harder to get into from the outside, maybe they're patched well, maybe they have good firewall defenses. If it's a juicy enough target, they may go in to the Wi-Fi. And so what are they doing? A couple of things. One, they're setting up rogue APs. They're maybe mirroring the name of your internal Wi-Fi network and trying to get users to join their rogue AP and do a man-in-the-middle attack to steal credentials, which is an easy exploit. If you were on a prior webinar we did, you could see there's a tool you can buy off the internet for 99 bucks from Hack5 that'll let you launch a man-in-the-middle attack in a minute. Super easy to do. Also, if the Wi-Fi is not properly secured, guests can directly connect that aren't supposed to be connected. And a final one, maybe not as critical to some of us, but could be a problem for acceptable use and other reasons, is your staff or your employees bypassing your security by setting up their own mobile hotspots. The idea here is, I'm at work, it's the week of Christmas, a lot of the bosses are on vacation, I'm going to basically just Netflix and chill at the office potentially, but they won't let me use Netflix because it's blocked at the firewall level. I'm just going to set up my Verizon hotspot and watch movies at work. Well, maybe that's not a big deal to some people, but let's say they also start doing browsing on that. Now they're totally bypassing all the security you've put in place for things like, TDR, IPS, and so on. And so that PC or that notebook is now in your LAN, connected into your trusted network, but you're bringing an untrusted pipe into your network. We've got to stop that. If you do want Wi-Fi protection and you want to head into that direction, we're going to talk about what wireless IPS can do for you without replacing your current Wi-Fi. And these are all the things that it can do. There's 12 major attack types. I'm not going to go into all of them, but the big ones, obviously rogue APs, client misassociation by joining it, rogue clients, MAC spoofing, DOS attacks, you name it. We can protect from all of those in an automated way, very easy to manage using our wireless IPS platform. Wireless IPS used to be a major hassle to deploy, and the reason it was a major hassle was it had too many false positives. So a long time ago, when we first started selling this ourselves, not with WatchGuard, but a different brand, what we'd have to do was deploy it, turn on the Wi-Fi, and then let everybody use it, and then we go through and say, all right, now that they've been using it for a month, what are all the known APs and known devices that are allowed? And we would whitelist or approve them. Once they were whitelisted or approved, then we'd lock it down. And then anybody net new trying to join was prevented. The downside of that approach is hard to maintain. It doesn't improve over time. It gets worse over time. So they came out with automated detection. Automated detection was supposed to be bulletproof. It wasn't. And what happened was, again, false positives, and you were detecting your neighbor's Wi-Fi as a rogue AP and trying to shut it down, which is illegal, and also a hassle. So WatchGuard has unique licensed technology that only they have using marker packets. It's a wired side marker packet injection system. So we take a wireless IPS sensor that looks like a wireless radio, and we put it in the network. Typically, you need about one wireless sensor for each 4 radios you have deployed, typically. We can do a heat map and show you how many you need, but you don't need a 1-for-1. Typically about 1 IPS sensor for every 4 radios, roundabout. Those IPS sensors constantly send these marker packets out to the network, both wired and wireless side, and we can detect allowed devices, allowed access points, and make sure that they're different from ones that are rogues. What I mean by that is, if there's a AP that you bring in yourself, that you authorize and you plug into your physical LAN, and it's a good AP, you'll know it's good. What it won't do is it won't detect a neighbor's wireless access point as a rogue, and I'm going to show you that in our dashboard. If it is a rogue, you'll know it. If it's not, you'll know that too. Very nice. What does it look like? This is a screenshot. I'll show you a live one here in a minute. It shows you green, kind of blue, very easy to figure out. All your authorized users are going to be shown in green. If there's a rogue, it's going to block it automatically. It'll just do it for you. And it's a known rogue. It's not going to false identify that. And also your guests, your neighbors will not be interrupted. Their Wi-Fi will not be disturbed. Circling back to this, and we're going to then move on to a live demo phase. I want to talk about live monitoring options. If you're a smaller shop and cybersecurity is important to you, but you don't have the resources internally and you need some more help, we have now deployed a new solution, which is a WatchGuard live monitoring ticket integration system. It's tied to our service automation solution called ConnectWise. And we can have your WatchGuard data sucked in to our ticketing solution, and we can, at every one of these 17 levels, set a monitoring function. So we could say, hey, if you have an interface that's down for more than 10 seconds, create a ticket. If we have a botnet detection over 30 minutes, you can make this whatever variable you want or whatever level you want to set it at. Flooding for DDoS attacks, virus detection, intrusion, and so on, even advanced persistent threat detection. These events happen, we'll receive them in our ticketing system that's being looked at by our security engineers live during the day, and we can either respond or we can dispatch it to you to respond. I do want to let you know that as an option available to you. It's not expensive, and it does give you an extra, a force multiplier, right? It increases the size of your army by hiring some mercenaries, which is us. But we have the technology now, we have this integration built, and we love to give you the option to use it if you like. So on to demo time. I want to walk through a few things that we've talked about so far and show you what they are. So first off, let me go to WatchGuard Dimensions. Many of you have this tool already. You're using it today. Hopefully you're familiar with it. If you're not, and you have WatchGuard Dimensions, but you want more help with it, and this training isn't deep enough, please let me know. Contact me or John, contact our help desk team, and we'll set up some training for you. We want to make you confident, competent, and want you to feel secure. So I'm in WatchGuard Dimensions, and at the top, you'll see this is where we access all of our reporting, right? At the top, I've got a date range. If I want to change the report date range, I can make it, a month, a year, however long you want it. Just remember that the longer you make those reports, the longer they're going to take, just because it's pulling that data from your database, and it can take a little while. But you can even do it by hour, right? You can even say, I only want to look at 1 hour of activity or an hour and a half of activity, which is nice if you're trying to find a really specific event. The reason I bring this up is a lot of you are trying to maintain compliance with FDLE, CJIS standards, and you want to have reports that you can give for compliance and also kind of for executive oversight. So let me show you some of the reports that are available to you. And I want you to know that all these can be run, on the fly, kind of ad hoc reporting, go in right now and just run it. And they can also be scheduled, all right? You can do both. Let me show you the ad hoc reporting first. So say you want to do a, on the web audit side, you want to look at what's going on with, let's say, by client or by category. So I'm going to pull up that web audit report. This is going to run for just a second because it's sucking down all my data. And then once it pops up, we're going to show that to you. So this is by category. And what I can see, of course, you'd expect this is Verteks data. #1 hit, information technology. Kind of scarily, #2, advertisements. The reason that's scary to me is because I've seen reports from Google that say that ads are the new malware, in the sense that attackers are going after infecting ad networks because they know that's a gateway to the PC. Collaboration Office #3, we use Office 365, that's what that is, dynamic content, and so on. So that's the category report. You can run it to PDF, you can dump it to a spreadsheet, and so on, very easy to get. Obviously, you can also do it by client, right? So this is going to show you on a per user basis what's going on. Again, you can run that to a PDF, you can email it, you can dump it in a spreadsheet and analyze the data, kind of you name it. Let me jump into another one on the report side. Let me go down to details for IPS for intrusions. Now remember, from a prior recommendation from the PowerPoint, we really want you to be looking at IPS data both inbound and outbound, because the outbound side is going to disrupt the cyber kill chain, right, from moving or pivoting laterally. So this is our live IPS data from today so far, and you can see all the things that ours has even caught just today. Web attack right here. Shellcode egg hunter attack, web attack, web attack, web attack. So if you run this for a long period of time, what you'll find is there is a lot of attack surface. Let me go back a week here and let you see the difference a week makes. So from the 27th to the 5th, it'll load this data up. While it does that, let me pull up one I just did the other day to show people. You can do an Excel export. When you do the Excel export, you can also pull this stuff up and filter it out. So here's an Excel export of our IPS data. And now I can go look at these signatures by name. So let's say a guru says, hey, we want to look at anything to do with our Apache server or web stuff, right? I can scroll down here and just check web and Apache. I want you to see this. This is our data. So in the period of time, sort of by time here, oldest to newest, from the 7th to the 3rd, we had 53 IPS attacks blocked by our WatchGuard, just ours. So it's working, which is good news. The bad news is, of course, that's what's out there on the internet now. We're all being attacked all the time. But this is a report you can dump to a spreadsheet. You can print a PDF. This is a great one you can give for compliance. They're really, they love to see that stuff. You know, how do I know the firewall is working? Here's a list of all the things it's blocked. Here's a list of all the intrusions we've stopped. So very nice. Let's say you want to schedule it, okay? So scheduling it's super easy. Up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a gear. You go down to the gear, manage tasks. Under manage tasks, I have to unlock it. It doesn't want two people in there doing it at the same time. And I can add a new scheduled report. I click that, and it pulls up a wizard that walks me through. So let's say I want to call it my IPS 30-day. That's the name of my schedule. And what it will be is a IPS report for compliance. And I'll say 30 days. Next. And then I choose, do I want to run on devices or servers? Now to click this, I'm going to see a lot of devices. The reason is we're managing a lot of people's data here. So just ignore this. Yours will just be one device. You're not going to have all these devices. So now I see it's my M400 firewall, which I have now specified. And I can choose either drop the reports in a directory, drop them to my ConnectWise infrastructure so we can monitor it for you, or send them via email. I send email, send it to dgulling@verteks.com, hit the plus sign, right? And then here's the types of reports. I'm going to specify them, and I'm going to choose one. Let's say I want to go down to IPS. Where are we at here? IPS. Intrusion prevention reports. And you'll see there's a activity trend and a summary. I want both. I hit OK. English, US time zone. What template do I want to use? The standards. Single report. Run reports daily, weekly, or monthly. I'm going to choose a monthly interval. Have it start at midnight is fine. Then when I hit finish, it's got a scheduled report for IPS detail, showing me every 30-day interval, giving me monthly data. So very easy to schedule those reports. And you can see it just a wizard walks you through step by step. Very, very simple. Great for compliance, great for CGIS, FDLE, and also very simple, so you don't need to add staff. If you have any difficulty setting these up or knowing which ones are the right ones, let us know, and we'll be glad to help you with that and set them up for you. That's a service that we can offer.
Hey, Don, I got a question here real quick about the reports. The question was, are the AD integrated, and whenever you're taking a look at, what PC's activity are doing what, is it by the AD name or is it by the IP? And the answer to that question is you can do both. If you want AD integration, it will actually pop up the username on the device, so you don't have to go searching around by IP.
That's exactly right. In Dimension, you have the ability to set up Active Directory integration and require it, or you can also have people on Wi-Fi that aren't AD integrated. My recommendation there is use AD integration in your network for all your known devices and on your Wi-Fi for known devices. The reason being, I'll give you a short internal story. We had an employee, a former employee, unfortunately had to transition out of the business, who was using a cell phone application to download illegal content. And he thought he would be able to do it without getting caught. We keep our rules on our internet fairly lax here for lots of reasons. One of the reasons is we want to get some bad data in because we want to have data to show in these reports that we show you when we demo them. The other one is we sometimes do need to do file transfers, not of illegal content, but of legal types that's very, very large. And so some of these things we need to let through. Well, this employee had an app on a cell phone, and he was downloading a Harry Potter movie. We got a cease and desist letter about it, and we were able to track it down to who it was. And then, we knew that he was the one who had done it, and, we had to transition him out of the business. But if it was just an IP address and you don't know whose device it is, you've got 300 devices, it could be incredibly complex to backtrack that stuff and find out how to do it. I will show you, if you have WIPs, how you can kind of find those devices in a minute. But yeah, good point, John. Yeah, either Active Directory integrated or by IP, your choice, it does both. So let me jump into Dimension Command, all right? So what Dimension Command is the ability for us to manage our firewall kind of in the cloud. And the benefit of it is we can see everything we need to see without running the tools we used to have, like WSM, WatchGuard System Manager. It's great for seeing trend data. It has this nice dashboard right up front. It kind of shows you CPU, memory utilization, bandwidth utilization. You can, 3 days, 1 day, 7 day type deal. Very fast. This is kind of preloaded content that refreshes, so it's really quick to get to it. The reason I brought this up is I want to talk about application control first. Application control is one of the least utilized functions that we're seeing out there. I want to talk about it. So I go down to my subscription services, and all these are included with Total Security. You get all these services. I go to APT Blocker. One of the things that was brought to us before by people was, hey, it's too hard to set up these crazy proxies and rules to block the things I want to block, and I'm worried I'm going to be overly broad and then upset somebody. Well, WatchGuard has done an incredible job of enabling this process and making it very easy for you. All right. So let me jump into actually not application blocker, but APT blocker, but application control. Sorry, application control. So let's say somebody comes to you, the boss, and says, "Hey, we got half the management staff is on vacation the week between Christmas and New Year's. We're worried that we're going to have people inside the network, download Netflix all day." Or maybe they even want to allow Netflix, but they want to limit how much bandwidth it sucks down because they don't want it to interfere with business operations. Who knows? Well, how do you do that? And I'm going to show you how. Super easy. We go to Application Control. We can click on Add a New Control. And WatchGuard has pre-built all these filters by applications, by categories. You can block entire categories if you want. You can block all peer-to-peer networks. You can block all socials. A lot of people don't want to do that. Instead, they maybe want to say, okay, Facebook. But I don't want to block all of Facebook. I just want to block maybe Facebook games. Again, what's the business need for that? Or I want to block Facebook Messenger. So you can do that. You can allow it, you can drop it, or you can rate limit it here down to a meg or 50 megs, depending on how much bandwidth you want to limit it to. I can just say drop connection, hit save, and poof. Now Facebook games and Facebook Messenger are blocked. Super, super easy. John, what are some other examples that you've heard of people asking to block? I saw Netflix was one we were asked about before. So here, right there, a media streaming service, Netflix. Again, maybe you want to throttle it down to a meg, or maybe you want to drop it. One of the things I've seen, and this is a recommendation I'd make, a lot of people have told me not to totally drop these streaming services, but to rate limit them so slow that they're almost unusable. And here's the reason. If you do a drop of it, you're gonna somehow encourage people to try to bring their Wi-Fi device in to bootstrap and use the Wi-Fi network, right, and bring in threats that way. If you rate limit it to almost to a horrible speed, for some reason it's a different effect on people. Like, oh, wait a minute, I just can't do Netflix in the office. So you might want to try both and see which one works best for you. Pandora was one that we had a lot of people concerned about it using too much bandwidth because 30 different people are streaming different Pandora channels. Well, maybe you put Pandora on there and you rate limit it to a meg.
Sorry about that, Don. I hit the wrong button there. But the one main one, I noticed out there quite a bit, and especially with our city clients, is that Parks and Rec have the Facebook allowed because they do a lot of their benefits and all their
social media posting, right?
Programs. Yeah. And that's becoming bigger and bigger. I mean, there was a lot of how do we structure this down, and a lot of that's already been figured out. But you hit it already with being able to limit. Yes, we want Facebook. However, we don't want them to be able to get to the games and stuff like that. That's taking up a lot of the heavy apps, or they're heavy apps as far as bandwidth and bandwidth shaping, also websites. The other one too that's real big is Netflix. I mean, you hit it also before. Is a lot of people are during the holiday season and stuff like that, or maybe in the fire departments and stuff. You see this. Maybe you allow the fire departments to get to Netflix just because they're there, but you want to be able to limit the amount that Netflix is allowed, or to the areas or organizations that allow Netflix, and how easy is that?
Yeah, I just got a question and I wanted to address. The question was basically, if I'm using a WatchGuard and I have all these tools turned on, do I need OpenDNS as well? I currently have OpenDNS. The answer is no, you don't need OpenDNS. If you have a WatchGuard with total security and you configure it, you definitely don't need that. It's a redundant solution. If you like that level of redundancy, I mean, it wouldn't kill you, I guess, but I'd highly recommend against OpenDNS if you have WatchGuard total security. You just don't need it. The last thing I'm going to show you here is a category block. Let's say you want to just block at a category level everything that is peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer networks are essentially notoriously evil. I would recommend blocking all peer-to-peers completely and just do a drop connection on them. There's really no reason anyone in your network should need a peer-to-peer network at all. If they do, we can create an exception. That'd be the way to go about it. Block it for everybody and then allow only as needed or needed no basis. So that was, Dimension Command application control. I want to move on now because we're running out of time, and I want to talk about our Wi-Fi protection here and tell you what it does. So I've just logged into our Wi-Fi cloud using our wireless IPS sensors, and I want to show you what we can do to protect you. Super easy to do. I click on the Manage button. It takes me to my Wi-Fi cloud. I click on Verteks, and it presents me a dashboard. In the dashboard, I can see kind of my device distribution, access points by location, traffic summaries, and so on. I've got a few other panes. This is a good one about security status. I love this green checkbox. Am I secure? Yes. IPS security is turned on. You are secure. Then my access point classifications again, and other information. Thirdly, this is supposed to be blank, right? This is my IPS security page 2 I defined, showing devices in quarantine, security events, latest events, and top locations of events. When there's no data, because there's no security events, it's blank. So that's good news here. And also I can upload a map, which I've done, and the map can show me, where my Wi-Fi access is placed. So I'm going to go to my security monitoring, and I want to show you what a live Wi-Fi security monitoring looks like. I showed you this on the slides earlier, but I wanted to show you what ours looks like. And you can see in green are our authorized wireless platform. So I have a Tech AP, a Sales AP, and a WIP sensor. Those are the only ones that are authorized. Then I have all these blues, which are externals, and I have one uncategorized. It's actually offline right now. This red one is a Samsung, and what I found here is this thing has a rogue AP turned on it, right? So I can see also clients. Let me back up a step though and go back in here. I can choose that, and down at the bottom, I can say, okay, continue to classify as rogue, or I can actually block this thing. I can add it to a banned list. If I wanted to do some in-depth research, I could do a packet capture to see what's going on there. But how easy is that? You see something in red. Of course, WIPs can do this automatically for you. But you check that box. You go down here to more, and you can say add it to the ban list. Or maybe it's not showing up as red, but you've got an employee who's doing stupid stuff on Wi-Fi. You can pick theirs out. You do that on the client side. This shows you all your clients, and you can look at it by signal strength. I can pick these up. One nice thing I like is, let's say you got Don's phone in here. Where's mine at? Scroll down and somewhere. Well, let's pick on somebody else. Let's do whoever this is. Drop them on a map. No, signal's not strong enough. Let's pick out mine if I can. I don't see it on here. You guys see my phone down there? I don't. How about yours, John? Let me see if I see yours. Here's John's. So let's choose John. I can choose John. Where is he at right now? Where's his phone? Click it, drop it on a map, and it has a nice signal strength indicator here. I can also show a gauge and say, give me with a high level of confidence, where's his at? And I can see right here, this is where I need to go to find his phone, right on the floor plan. How cool is that, right? Go right there, that's where it'll be. Wireless security doesn't have to be hard, right? Can be super easy. It also has all the reporting that you need. This reporting can be great, again, for compliance. We can run an airspace risk assessment. We can do a wireless vulnerability assessment. These can be done on demand, live right now, or they can be done on a schedule. So let's do a wireless vulnerability assessment, generate the report, choose the interval. I want to do a 24-hour interval. I want to put it in PDF. Of course, you can also do HTML and XML, and I want to generate it. When you generate it, it'll gather the data from the cloud, pop up the report. I do want to warn you, this is a pop-up. The reason I'm saying that is I had my pop-up blocker turned on so aggressively, I thought there was something wrong with my reporting. I couldn't see reports, and it took me 15 minutes to figure out it was blocking them because it was a pop-up. Anyway, here's my wireless vulnerability assessment. You saw how easy it was to generate. I got a table of contents. I've got a security level. I've got graphs to show. I've got recommended actions. The benefit of this is you're able to go to, senior leadership, external parties, and quickly show them what's going on. You also have all these compliance reports built in. DoD 8100.2, PCI DSS, HIPAA, MIT, SOX. They're all there for you. Super easy. Incident reports. You can run incident reports and say, hey, I want to look at all the events that have happened in the last 30 days, and I want to schedule that. So here, let's do an all event listing. Click add schedule. I want to do a recurring report. I want to generate it every month. I want to have it start today and never end. It doesn't have to. And have it run for the last month. You can also archive it. The archival is nice because it saves it up in the cloud for you. And you say, I want to delete it after 6 months. Then I want to send it to this email address or multiple email addresses. I click save. It's in the schedule. Could not be easier to do. Now you have an all event wireless security report dropped in your email once a month, and also archived and saved online for you for 6 months that you can produce for compliance or whatever other reason you want. This is a nice one, device inventory. You can get a BYOD report showing external devices. You can get an all device report, and you can also do these either ad hoc or you can do them on a schedule. Super easy to do. I just click generate report. You'll see the graph kind of make progress here on the barber pole. At the end, It produces my all device listing, and it gives me data on every device in the network, categorized and uncategorized, where they're at, MAC addresses, SSID, everything. This is nice to put a WIP sensor in, and maybe even just do a wireless audit, right? We could loan you one, and then at the end, we do a wireless audit. Now you've got all this data to provide and show somebody, hey, look at all these wireless devices that are connected to the network and where they're at. So very, very easy to do these reports. They could be dynamic, they could be scheduled, very easy to run. All right, so let me back up and go to the last thing we're going to demo today, and that is our threat detection and response. Let me log into it. So this is threat detection and response. Threat detection and response, again, is an included service with total security. You have access to this yourself. You put the host sensor on PCs and servers in the network. The host sensor gathers data, sends it to the ThreatSync cloud as securely and encrypted, and it also correlates events from the firewall to the ThreatSync cloud. It takes that correlated data and puts it in this cloud dashboard for you, right? So it's analyzing these events, it's using Sandbox, it's doing all the things it needs to categorize. I want to hit the dashboard and show you a quick thing or two, and then take our final questions. At the top, there's a CyberCon defense level. Now, what CyberCon does is analogous to DEFCON. Anybody who's around during the Cold War might remember DEFCON 4, DEFCON 3, DEFCON 2, DEFCON 1. DEFCON 1 is essentially nuclear war is imminent, right? The Russians have fueled the missiles, they're in the silos, we're afraid that they're ready to launch. DEFCON 4 means everybody's at peace, no big deal. CyberCon is the exact same methodology. CyberCon 5 is the lowest level of threat. You would use CyberCon 5 in the beginning to establish a baseline level of monitoring of your network. Let's say, though, for example, somebody was subject to a phishing attack and their PC got infected with ransomware. Let's say good news, it didn't spread. It was an old variant. You caught it early. It didn't spread, but you do know it happened. So what do? Well, I'm gonna change my CyberCon defense level to level 2 because I'm worried that now I'm being actively targeted because I know I can be phished. When you change to CyberCon 2, the threat detection and response engine starts to do things a little bit differently. So at CyberCon 5, it's just monitoring the events. At CyberCon 2, it's now acting a lot more actively for you and taking more automated actions. We can describe that more. It's also in the documentation about what each level does differently. Here's my dashboard showing me how many threat indicators I've had that were critical, high, or medium. And again, we've done some of this on purpose to allow you to see what the thing can do. So criticals, I could click it. It jumps straight to the criticals for me. What I'm seeing here, Juan Torres had downloaded a Bitcoin miner, MinerGate 7.0. Now, at a higher level of CyberCon, it can automatically quarantine that file for me. Where we're at now, I'm not having it do it. I'm monitoring it. Let's say instead, I want to tell it, well, I went and removed it. So I went over to Juan's PC and I took MinerGate off. I go to the incidents, I click manual actions, I say I remediated it externally. Or let me pick a different example. Let's go to one that's a lower level threat. Let's go to this one for Pete. I know he had one the other day that was kind of interesting. So Pete had downloaded, no, Pete wasn't the right one. Let's pick Juan again. Juan had downloaded PDF Complete. Looks like we already whitelisted it. So Juan had downloaded PDF Complete, and CyberCon 5 said, hey, this is something you might want to be worried about because PDF Complete could be potentially infected because it was compiled with the wrong kind of compiler. We looked at it, the app was good, we whitelisted it, so it disappeared. Let's pick some of these other ones. Let's say this one for Glenn, login.dodomi.com. It saw this, what's the threat? Why is it there? Well, this is what it's telling me. It's a bad reputation for that site. Let's say our researchers look into it. It's okay. We're going to allow it. He has to have it. It's critical for his job. We can either mark it externally remediated, or we can even whitelist that app. But what you can see now is these incidents in here are categorized by threat score, by host name, and you can also choose it by a date range. So right now I'm looking at 30 days, or 24 hours. I can also change it to 30 days and look at more data. This is probably, we'll see the PDF complete for Juan. No, we must have remediated that over a month ago. A couple other things you can do. Under devices, you can look at your host list. This will show you all the hosts that are deployed and their host status. What I like about this is you can go in here, click a button, and see any sensors that are down. This is Juan's old notebook, right? We took it offline. He's got a new one. Same goes here. This laptop was replaced. So the reason these sensors are down, these were recently replaced with new computers. We did a refresh on some of our desktops. But I can make sure all my servers and my PCs all have the TDR agent that they're supposed to, and I can also make sure their sensor is staying up to date and how often they're seen. All this can be done, live in the cloud. Reporting, again, robust reporting, very easy to use, very simple. Executive summary, infection activity, remediation activity. I can run it as PDF. I can make the time period whatever I want. Let's say previous month. I generate the report. Once the report runs, it'll show up right here. You'll see they're generating, and then it'll show up and I can view it. So here's my executive summary report for the last 30 days of my TDR. 6-pager, shows me the hosts that are protected, what hosts got infected, what unresolved indicators were there, etc. Very, very easy to do. That can also be scheduled and pushed to you kind of on demand. So that's TDR. I'd like to open it up to questions. Let me go ahead and do that. If I can, how do I unmute everybody? Anybody here know how to do that? Unmute. Let's see. Well, I hate to say this, but I do not know how to.
Yeah, Donna.
Oh, there we go. Got it. Don't think you can? Is that what you're saying? So I'm going to unmute all of you that want to be unmuted. If you do, just raise your hand and I'll put you in the question portal. I want to make sure we have an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you might want and open up the phone lines there as we wrap up and conclude here. I want to let you know that we're doing a drawing after this is over of all attendees. We're going to notify you by email. We are raffling off a free WatchGuard wireless IPS sensor. The recipient will get the sensor. It'll be activated for you in the cloud. We'll ship it to you. You could use it at home. You could use it at the office. And we'd be glad to do a webinar to walk you through using it as well. So we'll let you know. We'll send that out here as soon as we get your survey results back. Any final questions? All right.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. We're glad you came today. We're going to archive this recording, save it, post it online, and we'll send you a copy so you can share it with your team if you like. Remember that we do have the upcoming Star Wars event. If you can make it, we'd love to see you there. If you're not already registered, please do so. Tickets are selling out. It's lastjediocala.eventbrite.com. And with that, I'll conclude the event. Thanks everybody for joining, and have a great rest of your day.